Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the must-have weapons from this past year in Destiny. There might be a couple of you guys that are coming back to the game wondering, was there any good must-have weapons this past year during the episodes? So whether you took a long break or you just want to make sure that you have every single great weapon this last year, this is going to be the perfect video for you. We're going to be going over what are some of those best weapons, how to get them, and also what are some of the god rules for the legendaries that you might be looking for. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys are ready for some more videos. And now let's get into it, and first let's start with episode 1 and all the great weapons there. I'm going to be starting this off with one of the strongest weapons released last year. If you're only going to get a couple of weapons on this list, this definitely has to be one of them, and is the core of one, the exotic special ammo auto rifle. This thing has pretty much been a beast since it was released, and it only got better as more catalysts rolled out. This weapon pretty much has everything that you would ever want, a great ammo economy, it hits like a truck against red bars, pretty much just one-shotting or two-shotting them, and if something bigger happens to show up, you also have crazy burst damage whenever you hit fire this weapon, because it essentially turns into a shotgun. No matter what you run into, the core one will pretty much be able to deal with it. But what really makes it shine is really that ammo economy. You can pretty much use it as a primary. I never really run into any ammo issues. The only time you run into it is if you're just spamming the headfire, just because you want to. And even then, it does take a lot of shots to actually run out of ammo with the weapon. And the weapon gets even better now with the updated destabilizing rounds catalyst, essentially just always giving you those volatile rounds for more ad clear, as well as a bunch of synergy with a lot of void builds. Now the worst thing about this weapon is just how to get it, because you are going to have to go to the Act 1 story so you can get to the exotic mission Encore, and then you're going to have to run it 4 or 5 times to be able to get the weapon, as well as catalyst. But in the end, I definitely think that it's worth it because this is one of the best weapons, and if you plan on doing any sort of endgame content, this weapon is going to treat you very well. Now for our first legendary from episode 1, we're going to have the Aberrant Action, the Solar Rocket Sidearm. This thing is fantastic. Rocket sidearms are still very good, and if anything, they actually got better with the many different types of sidearms we have and different types of roles that you can go for those sidearms. And I would definitely say that this one is definitely the survivability one, with Heel Clip Incandescent being the most popular role and the role that you're probably going to go for on this weapon. And that's it. It's just a very solid weapon. Any rocket sidearm is actually still a very solid special weapon because they have a lot of ammo, they can kill things very effectively, and them usually having some pretty good perks basically makes them always top tier in any PvE activity. And if you want to run your rocket sidearm with specifically a solar build, or you're just looking for a bit of extra survivability, the Aberrant Action is going to be your best choice. Now this weapon is going to come from the episode 1 activities, and once you get one to drop, you can also focus it at failsafe. And another good thing about this weapon is that it is also craftable. So once you get 5 red borders, you'll be able to craft your perfect god roll, and you don't really have to rely as much on RNG as we might have to do with some of the other weapons on this list. So this is a fantastic sidearm, definitely don't ignore it. Next we're gonna have the Lost Signal, our very first area denial frame grenade launcher. And even though we have gotten more area denial frames as the year has gone on, this thing is still fantastic and definitely one that you wanna have. Now what makes this weapon very good is that it's in the kinetic slot, so it doesn't really have any competition. It is stasis damage, meaning that it can build up Transcendence energy very quickly. And also it has an auto-loading perk, meaning that it's very easy to incorporate into a fire and forget type of playstyle. You just fire this weapon off into a bunch of bats, build up a bunch of Transcendence energy, and the next time you need it, you'll have it ready to go to build up some more Transcendence energy. And it being an area denial frame, it is just naturally very good at ad clear. So you want a good ad clear weapon that builds up your Transcendence meter crazy fast, and it also auto-loads itself, then look no farther than the Lost Signal. Now this weapon is also going to come from the episode 1 activities, and it's also a craftable weapon, so after you get 5 red borders, you'll be able to craft your perfect roll. And the rolls that you want to go for on this weapon are basically going to be something with auto-loading, either auto-loading Vorpal Weapon, so you can do a bit of extra damage to some of those bigger enemies, or auto-loading Demolitionist, so you can get a ton of grenade energy as you kill all those ads. This is a fantastic weapon, and if you're going to be doing any type of Transcendence builds, this is definitely a weapon that should be at the top of your list. Now starting off episode 2, we're going to have another rocket sidearm, and is what I believe to be the best rocket sidearm in the game now, and I'm sure all of you guys immediately knew what that was. And it's the Tenishas Mastery, the Stasis sidearm from Iron Banner. And yes, you are going to have to go into the Crucible for this one, into the Iron Banner, but this weapon's definitely going to be worth it. It has all the benefits of being a rocket sidearm, like the great ammo economy and the very high damage per shot, and a couple of other extra benefits thanks to being a stasis sidearm, like the main benefit being choke clip. Choke clip is just such a strong perk that when you combine it with an S tier archetype like a rocket sidearm, it was pretty much guaranteed that the result was going to be a top tier PvE weapon, and that is pretty much the case with the Tenishas. Choke clip is going to be amazing in Tenishas, especially for any activities that have champions, since just by having choke clip by itself, it can already stun two types of champions, being the overloads and the unstoppables. And this season, it was even better because it actually stunned every single type of champion. All you needed was a Tenishas with choke clip, and you pretty much never had to worry about any type of champion. And to an extent, that's also going to be the case next season. As long as you have some Radiant with choke clip, the Tenishas is still going to be able to take care of every single champion. So yeah, Stasis as a whole just kind of got nerfed, so now it will no longer be able to stun the unstoppables. Only the overloads. I do not like this change, but that's the change that Bungie's proposing forward. Hopefully they don't do this, because I feel like Stasis is already kind of underpowered the way it is. So being able to stun two champions was something really good I had going for it, but now without that, it's not going to be as good. Alright, I'll let you continue the video now. Now for the god rolls that you're looking for on this weapon, you're essentially just looking for something with choke clip. As long as you have choke clip on the Tenishas, pretty much any roll will actually work, but the best ones are definitely going to be air trigger plus choke clip. Air trigger is going to give you increased reserves, as well as having the increased reload speed for choke clip, or you can also go with loose change plus choke clip, which is going to give you some reload speed, which is again really good with choke clip. If you can, definitely try to get that air trigger used for the increased reserves. That's always going to be nice on any type of weapon, especially on the rocket sidearms. Now the next weapon we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the Velocity Baton, the Void Grenade Launcher. Now this grenade launcher is lovingly referred to as the Orb Printer, because that's the thing that it does very well. The interaction with this grenade launcher and attrition orbs is really what made this thing very popular, because it just makes a ton, and I really do mean a ton of orbs with this weapon. You shoot at a group of enemies, it's guaranteed that you get at least 5 to 6 orbs. And that's without mentioning that the weapon itself is actually really good at ad clear, and with some of the other perks that you can also combine with the attrition orbs, it makes it so you can always have overshields or use a ton of grenade energy as well. This is one of those type of weapons that no matter what type of build you have on, or even if you don't have a build on, it's always going to be helping you no matter what. And this weapon is going to come from the Vesper Souls dungeon, and the main two roles that you're going to be looking for are Demolitionist plus Attrition Orbs, meaning that not only are you going to be making lots of orbs, but also getting a ton of grenade energy, or Repulsor Brace Attrition Orbs, so you can get some overshields while you're getting tons of orbs. Those are the main two roles that you're looking for, but to be completely honest, as long as you just have Attrition Orbs, the weapon is going to be doing its main thing, which is making tons and tons of orbs. Next up, we're going to have the Pyroctric propellant, the Arc Auto Rifle. Now it takes something really special to really recommend a primary weapon, because most of them a lot of times feel weak when it comes to like PvE, but the Pyroctric propellant is not one of those weapons. It feels amazing, it has some great synergy with arc builds, and it's all thanks to jolting feedback. It's actually the only auto rifle in the game that can get jolting feedback, and because of the way that this perk works, which is based on hits, putting it on a 600 RPM auto rifle just makes it so easy to proc. It means that you can proc this thing multiple times very easily without having to reload. And being able to apply jolt just that easily, that often, is really what makes this weapon shine, and it really gives it a lot more power. Like I said, the primary weapons a lot of times do feel kind of weak in like endgame PvE, but when you have something like this that's constantly applying jolt, it definitely doesn't feel weak. And if you ever need an arc weapon for your arc builds, this is always pretty much my first choice. Now this weapon also comes from the Vesper Souls dungeon, so if you get in there, you can get this weapon as well as the Velocity Baton, and just kind of get a good roll for both of them. And the best rolls that you can get on this weapon basically all involve jolting feedback plus eddy current, jolting feedback plus attrition orbs, so not only are you applying a bunch of jolt, you're also making a bunch of orbs, or jolting feedback plus strategist, so you can also just spam your class ability. Any three of these rolls are going to be amazing, and they're definitely going to make this weapon feel pretty powerful. Now episode 3 is really where we started getting a bunch of good weapons, so this is where the bulk of the weapons are going to come from. And we're going to be starting with another rocket sidearm, because we just kind of have to. And this time it is the Void rocket sidearm, the Lotus Eater. Now this one comes from the Grandmaster Knifles, as well as the Knifles. And it's just another really good and solid rocket sidearm, but this time of a different element. And you can get a lot of good and different perk combinations of this sidearm that will make it very good. But some of the best perks that you can go for on this sidearm are going to be destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace, so you can have a bit more ad clear as well as a bit more survivability with the constant overshields. You can also go for repulsor brace plus withering gaze. Now withering gaze is one of the new perks. It basically lets you apply a weaken by just aiming down sights, and this is very good against some of those bigger enemies that you want to do a little bit more damage against. And being able to have it on a weapon like this one is actually pretty useful. You apply it on the first shot and then just unload the rest of your magazine and kill whatever you're trying to kill just a little bit faster. And it does have some synergy with repulsor brace, so it can also give you those overshields. Reconstruction plus destabilizing rounds is also going to be another good one. As long as we have destabilizing rounds or withering gaze, this weapon is going to be pretty good. And the whole rocket sidearm family is pretty much fantastic in any type of activity. Next, we're going to have the Hastings Vengeance that came back with some updated perks that essentially made it the best rocket in the game. There's no rocket that's going to be better than this one. There's no contest. This is just overall the best rocket. And one of the reasons is because of the crazy origin trait that the bolt class weapons got that doubles your magazine after using your super for 20 seconds. So for 20 seconds, you're just going to have double the amount of rockets in your magazine. And 20 seconds is a pretty long time. Most damage phases will probably be over by the time this effect runs out. And if this was the only thing that was going for it on this rocket, it would be pretty strong. But then they also gave it some of the best perks in the game, making this rocket the uncontested king of DPS. If you're looking for just the best rocket that you can get currently in the game, it is without doubt the Hastings Vengeance. And this one comes from the Bolt Glass raid. It actually has a lot of really solid weapons, especially now with the new origin trait and the perk refresh. It's pretty much worth it to just go in there and get a lot of these weapons, but the Hastings is really the one that you should be aiming for. And the best perks that you want to look for are going to be MBS Arsenal plus bait and switch, MBS plus elemental honing, or overflow bait and switch, or overflow elemental honing. Any of those 4 roles are going to be pretty good, but I do tend to prefer the MBS Arsenal roles because they feel a little bit better to use into the damage rotations. Next, we're going to have another heavy weapon, this time with the Watchful Eye Arc Machine Gun. Now this machine gun will come from the Heresy seasonal activities, and it's a fantastic, and I think the best arc machine gun currently in the game. But that's not even the best thing about this machine gun, it's really just how accessible it is. All you have to do is do seasonal activities, and you can get yourself this fantastic arc machine gun. And before this machine gun, there wasn't really any good accessible arc machine guns. Basically all of the good ones were tied to raids, but now with this one, everyone can get a pretty solid arc machine gun, especially with jolting feedback. Yes, jolting feedback comes back again to make another weapon just amazing. And because this one is a high rate of fire machine gun, firing at 600 RPM, it means that we can proc jolting feedback very easily on this machine gun. So you're going to be able to deal with that very easily, and the jolting feedback should help you deal with some of those bigger enemies. And the best rolls that you can go for on this weapon are overflow jolting feedback or eddy current jolting feedback. I would say that those two are the main ones you want to go for to really get the most out of this machine gun. This one just has to be my favorite out of all the Heresy weapons. It is just such a good machine gun. Next, we're going to have the Loadout, the very unique primary ammo trace rifle. Now this one is one that you can easily get from just playing the game. You get it from the pass at level 40 if you're free to play, and if you bought the season or episode Heresy, you'll get it at rank 1. So this one's probably the easiest out of all the weapons that you can actually get on this list. But it doesn't mean that this weapon is not fantastic, but it really does shine mostly with an arc build. I think to really get the most out of the Loadout, you have to pair it up with an arc build. It just works really well into it, and that's how you really get the most out of this weapon. So not only is it a very effective weapon, but it's also very fun, and also very unique being a trace rifle that actually fires primary ammo. Next, we're gonna have the No Survivors from the Red Eye 9 update. And this weapon was already pretty good, but it definitely got better with the Red Eye 9 update. Also making it the very first SMG ever to get the heel clip incandescent combo. It actually kind of surprised me that we actually hadn't had like an SMG with this combo already. But yeah, this is the very first one, and because of it, it makes it very unique and also very fun to use. SMGs, I feel like, are in a pretty good spot when it comes to PVE. I feel like they put out good enough damage where a lot of people use them. And so this role is going to be fantastic. It gives you more survivability, gives you better ad clear. Overall, it's just going to be a very good weapon to take into any PvE activity and do pretty well with it. There's nothing really fancy about it. It's just a good perk setup on a good SMG that makes it feel very good. And the final weapon that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Cold Comfort, the Stasis Rocket Launcher. Now, we already talked about the best rocket with the Hastings Vengeance, but since that one is tied to a raid, I decided to throw in the Cold Comfort here at the end to essentially be the best rocket that is not tied to a raid. Now you're going to be able to get this one from the Red Eye 9 Goes to the Deep Dungeon, and this thing is going to serve you very, very well, and it's pretty much going to be as good as it gets when it comes to rockets without stepping into the Bolt to Glass raid. You're going to be able to get some really good rolls on this weapon, very similar to the ones that you get on the Hastings Vengeance, except that your origin trait is not like crazy OP like the Hastings Vengeance one. Now the god rolls that you're going to be looking for on this weapon is going to be MBS Arsenal Bait and Switch, MBS Arsenal plus Elemental Honing, Reconstruction Bait and Switch, and those are pretty much like the best ones that you can go for on this weapon if you're just trying to put out a bunch of DPS out there. Now if you're thinking of this weapon more as a GM weapon, you also have Reconstruction plus Explosive Light, which is going to be perfect for GMs. But yeah, this is going to be another really solid rocket, and if you don't want to step into the raid, this is going to be your best choice. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully all of you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite weapon from this last year? For me, I think the Core of 1 is still my favorite. That weapon is just so good. But I feel like we definitely had some really good choices this year. So let me know your favorite in the comments below. And also if you thought that maybe I should include a weapon, make sure that you also leave it down in the comments below, in case somebody's checking the comments to see what other people think as well. Anyways, thank you for watching, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.